What's up, everybody? It's Ya Boi again, and today I am reviewing JAWBREAKERS FOREVER by Splatto Comics by Richard C Meyer, aka Ya Boi Zack. We've also got Aaron Alfeche on the art. And anyway, I'm going to try to give a synopsis of this, and then a lot of this is really going to be a pretty harsh criticism of this book. So anyway, as longtime viewers of the channel will know, I bought and read and reviewed the original JAWBREAKERS, original graphic novel, I guess is what you'd want to call it, the first one, years ago. I haven't read any of the JAWBREAKERS since. I've kept up a little bit with Ya Boi Zack's publishing pursuits with his, comics that he's been putting out, as you've seen as well. But anyway, I don't know all the ins and outs of the story of what's going on with this. Frankly, it's not very well defined, kind of put out there, probably for a few reasons and a few cases that I'll get to as well. But for the most part, it's kind of just, hey, the picture of that kid, and he's sitting there and he's yelling, he's having a good time playing, and he's got like a Transformer in one hand, like a G.I. Joe in the other, and he's smashing them together, something like that, It's like that meme. That's kind of what Zack's writing is like. I'm going to try to go through this as well as I can, and anyway, we'll go from there. So we kind of start out, the JAWBREAKERS, they've just saved the day, but there's like this ominous kind of robot broad in the background. She kind of looks a lot like the personification of the Danger Room from the Joss Whedon X-Men comics, if you ask me, or maybe the Engineer from The Authority, kind of this sort of getup. But anyway, we kind of do some magic spell, and we're going into the Ultraverse, or whatever you want to call it, and we got a lot of, very quickly in this, what kind of really gets me, we jump around from scene to scene to scene to scene to scene, and I know, I get that, that's how it goes. It just seems like there's almost never any real sort of like ground point, like starting point from this. It's like, and they do it literally at the beginning of this comic book, but hey, it's the end of a battle. It's the end of a big battle. And I need to look back at the first JAWBREAKERS that I have, because it might be that one even. I don't know. Maybe we're going back that far. But hey, it's the JAWBREAKERS. It's like G.I. Joes with superpowers, We have that little scene. We have another little thing where I think it's the God King, with a 1 and some zeros in there. I think that was like the second book that he did. I did not read it. I'll tell you, kind of that name alone, if you couldn't tell already from when I was growing in there, it's like, you're putting leet speak into that's so 2000 and late, Zach. Anyway, so we're getting into the book. The JAWBREAKERS, they're busting into this school. They're kind of doing their thing. Busting into the school. Now, we've got some new JAWBREAKERS here a little bit. And some of these names, Bereaver. Like, that's such a stupid, goofy, like, superhero name. Or any sort of name, code name, whatever you want to call it. Because the first thing you're going to do is like, oh, Beaver? Like, if you're going to make fun of him, Bereaver, you're going to call him Beaver. That's... Sometimes I just think it's a little too cutesy, or he doesn't even really take much time to think any of these things through, but I digress. Anyway, we're continuing on. Hey, they're busting into a school. They're gonna go, save the school, save these kids. They go in there, and they end up getting, like, mind controlled by somebody, and they end up saving the school because Silkworm puts on a tinfoil hat to block the psychic abilities of this bad guy, and they end up literally bashing his brains out. But then one of the other JAWBREAKERS actually did get mind warped, and they did end up killing a room full of kids. So, they're in trouble. That didn't really go well there. But who really knows? Anyway, we jump right away to another scene of this dude. He's sitting on a planet. He's doing, doing the Dr. Manhattan sort of thing from Watchmen. And the Danger Room lady comes and saves him, and they team up. And then we have another cutscene where it's a dude, this old man, he's kind of looking for the fountain of youth sort of thing, that trope. And he's found Catmandu. He's found, one of the Marvel reference would be wherever Iron Fist goes and gets his powers from. I can't remember where the hell that's called. I think the Shadow. Doesn't the Shadow go to like some sort of Tibetan place, and then he's getting his powers there, and some secret thing that pops up out of nowhere? Anyway, they storm this place, and this dude gets the knife hand powers. He steals the knife hand powers and gets them for himself. And then we cut to another scene where it's the dude cuffs, and he's just getting out of prison now, it looks like, for, I'm assuming, being kind of tied in with that whole killing kids in a school thing. He gets out. Silkworm is also getting out, but he's pissed off at him, and, you know, they have a little scene, and, you know, fuck you, buddy, I'm taking off on my own. Then we pop again. See, already, like you get a scene. You get this quote-unquote scene, and they're all real choppy, but it's like 2 fucking pages. And then it's just, it really already just jumps around too much as far as I'm concerned. In a way, I get what he's trying to do, but it's just like everything that Richard has written. He's just not accountable to anybody with the sort of publishing scheme that he's set up. And it's almost like he is willfully remaining like a bad writer, like not really trying to write in a clear and concise manner and get anything across to people in a meaningful way. But anyway, I digress. We're going to continue on with the actual story of this. So then we jump on, we're in space again, and the Danger Room lady, she's given this dude that's been out there, I think this was the God King dude, now he's decided he's the Rat King, and he can like make, you know, physical constructs with his mind, you know, he can make these things that are blue, he can make things with his mind and making them appear. And then we're teaming up with the Danger Room lady, and we're looking for someone or another. They're gone, uh-oh, the timelines, it's all screwed up. We've got to do something about it. We've got to try to fix it somehow, some way. And then we do another cutscene again to Silkworm. He's out of prison. He's getting into a halfway house. He's fixing up his life. And that is literally 1 page. And then we jump to another scene. Now, in a way, this is kind of interesting, and I've heard Richard C. Meyer talking about it a little bit on his YouTube in the past, when he would actually talk about the comic books he was making instead of just kind of drama farming with trying to cause fights with movie reviewers on YouTube. But I digress. Anyway, we've popped to this scene. It is not said in word, but to me, and with some of the things he's talked about on his videos in the past, it seems like it is very clearly a kind of unspoken use of the John Carter from Mars character and kind of setting. So we've got this dude, hey, it sure seems like it's leading like he appears to be on Mars because it's a red planet and this weird sort of desert landscape. And man, the get up, it's a little bit Conan-y, it's a little bit 30s style pulp, Tarzan-y, that sort of thing. But man, he sure looks like John Carter from Mars to me, even though I know little to nothing about that property. But anyway, he's on Mars. He's going back to this grand town with this palace to blah, 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 you know, collect his prize. He's a big-time badass. But it's all a construct. It all goes away. It's all this thing set up by the now Rat King. And we're catching this dude, and we're getting rid of him. It's this whole thing even of, like, we're going to start this confrontation. And then it's like, I got so much power, I can just disappear you anyway. I don't know why he didn't just disappear him in the first place. Besides, hey, we got to throw in the John Carter from Mars reference here, I guess. Play around with that public domain property, I guess, is what Zack is kind of doing there. Trying to push those boundaries in the little way that he can. I digress again. Anyway, we're moving on. Another cutscene. So now Silkworm, he's on the, you know, the subway. He's going to work. Hey, it's annoying. We throw in a little bit of a reference there to Zack. He really likes the YouTube channel No Plates, No Dates. So we throw in a little reference there, which is very odd and kind of throws you out of the comic, honestly, as far as I'm concerned. I think it's just kind of sloppy writing, like the, as he would say, the member berries. Hey guys, you remember when I had that era in my videos of talking about no plates, no dates all the time because I'm concerned about getting as jacked as I fucking can? Anyway, that's this whole other thing in this scene, this page-long scene, but it's really, hey, everybody noticed it's Devil Dog, and everybody hates you because the Jawbreakers shot up that fucking school and killed all those kids. At least one of you did. And then we jump to another scene, another page-long scene. And again, I don't know who he's referencing here. I'm sure it's some public domain comic book character, but I don't necessarily get this one. Maybe I'm missing it. I don't know. I think it's a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, kind of wink and nod, because that's kind of the same thing they're doing, but I don't. From the art here, I don't necessarily know which one they're doing. Maybe Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. So again, another page flip, another scene, and we've got, I think it's Silkworm or whoever the kind of Zack stand-in is, you know, the main kind of G.I. Joe guy in this, getting it all figured out and talking to people. He's basically getting figured out that it's a timeline thing. Oh man, the timeline's wonky now. It's a cosmic thing. It's a real superhero-y thing. It's not just G.I. Joe's pew-pew-pewing guys. You know, there's like people flying around in space, you know, not breathing out there like they're Dr. Manhattan and shit, doing real things. Real crazy things even. And I don't know. I feel as though a lot of that is just very loosely kind of explained, like most things in this comic. Very kind of rushed through, very kind of poorly explained, if even attempted to be explained really at all. But it's just kind of like, hey, it's a space thing, guys. It's like God. It's like comic book gods, man. Hey, just go with it, man. Just hold on for the ride. It's just hold on, guys. Just keep going with it. We're going to get to the pew-pews before too long. Anyway. Again, now that was a quote-unquote longer scene. That was 3 pages of the comic. Then after that, we're in Machu Picchu in another scene where the Rat King's there, and he's basically just kind of erasing people, redoing history, reshaping the world in the way that he sees. And we have another scene similar where we're in a Manhattan. We're with Silkworm. He is working at a fast food place, and there's a woman in there that's freaking out about her order, and he's kind of chilling her out. She's like, oh man, you're that killer. You're the ones who shot up the school. He uses his powers to mess up her phone. Hey, you're still a good guy, buddy. She was being a jerk. A few pages here of characterization, I suppose, / having the characters say things like Tito and Pavlabak, and having, you know, the quintessential comic book asterisk, and then a little blurb describing what that is in the same panel, you know, to really kind of authenticize this sort of thing in these characters and show, you know, how well-rounded and real these characters are. Anyway, I digress again. I'm really shitting on this book. I'm not trying to at this. I'm just trying to get through the synopsis. But it's just a mishmash of all these different plots that have apparently been going on in these Jawbreakers books. I feel as though it's a real culmination, or at least trying to be, of all these sort of things. But it's just throw everything into the blender and put the top on and hit that button and hold that lid down, buddy. You know, hey, if you put in the right ingredients, it's going to be great no matter what it is, right? Something along those lines. But I digress again. Anyway, we jump to another scene, Midtown Manhattan. It's the old man in the new knife hand get up now. He's taken over that mantle. We have a scene there. It's kind of whatever. Hey, he's knife hand now. Then we have another scene where Silkworm's out there. He's just kind of patrolling maybe, or I don't know, maybe he's just chilling out on his own apartment building. I don't know. And the Golden Age Daredevil, not Marvel's Daredevil, but the Golden Age Daredevil, that is a public domain character now, just kind of jumps up out of nowhere, and he's like, oh, hey guy, how you doing, buddy? It's been a while since I've seen you. Like they're old friends, but they kind of just have, you know, hey buddy, how's life? You know, give me the little lowdown, give me the info dump, give me the catch up of kind of what's going on here. You know, hey, we're buddies. We're stalking the night. We're stopping bad guys. We're superheroes. And scene. And then we at General Services Administration Building. Is that God King? Okay, now the military guys, now all the dudes in the Pentagon are talking about it. Hey, what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about all these problems that we got going on with these dudes in space that got all these crazy powers and they're changing the world? And this old man now, that's the new knife hand, he's there and he's like, hey man, you know how the Jawbreakers were a problem before when they killed all those kids? They're gone now. I'm I'm leading it now, and I've got a whole new team of these dudes. So we're gonna do the new Jawbreakers, and I got these powers where I can like hypnotize them and control them, and we'll do another offshoot of Jawbreak, and we're assembling the team, and then again another jump to another scene. I don't know why I'm totally ragging on that. Like, that's not how comic books and everything in the world works. Every story in the world works where it's like, hey, you've got to jump from scene to scene to scene to scene. That's what every story is. I don't know why I'm totally ragging on that, except for the fact that it's like, hey, there's some of them where it's literally one page. There's some of them that are super just jumpy. There's some of them where I just kind of wish we could do a little less of that. Anyway, but I digress. So anyway, then we have a jump, another page-long scene where Rat King, bam, he like teleports into Silkworm's room in his halfway house as he's sleeping, and he goes to kill him. And then we cut the scene. Hey man, he's about to strike him down with all his hatred while he's sleeping. And then scene. And then we cut away. And then scene. And then it's the next morning, and Silkworm's fine. And he's like, hey, I'm going to go out on the roof and do Tai Chi with my landlord. So yeah, you're still there kind of scratching your head at that point. Anyway, I won't spoil it yet. We're going to move on. We're going to keep moving on. Central Park, Manhattan. We're going down here to Central Park, and there's the dude before from the scene. I don't know who he is. He's got a top hat. Whatever this character is. Hey, he's the Jim Dan. We'll call him Jim Dandy. I don't know. Maybe it's Sherlock Holmes. I kind of doubt it, though. Anyway, Jim Dandy, we'll call him as the placeholder name. The guy, the public domain character that, anyway, was referenced before. He's in Central Park. He's trying to get on one of these horses. And, hey, we're getting on the horse. We're Jim Dandy. We cut right away. Now, Silkworm, I think, is in some... I don't know the locations of this and that and the other in New York City. Anyway, I'm assuming it's in approximately the same location. Silkworm, he's just a normal Joe now. He's trying to get his life back together. He's just getting off the subway, and people notice him. People see him. They're freaking out about him. Hey, that's the guy. Get him. Hey, he killed all them kids. It just happens to be at that time. Jim Dandy, he got the horses. He's on the horses now. He's commandeered the horses for himself, and he just happens to be driving by and saves old boy Silkworm from this huge mob of people. And everybody's like, hey, we gotta get him. And he rides up right at the right time. Silkworm jumps on, and they ride on out of there. And basically, he tells Silkworm, hey, this dude, the God King dude, the Rat King dude, he's destroying time, out there in space. You gotta stop him. You're a superhero. You're not just a G.I. Joe now. You're a superhero now. And you gotta do something about this, or else we're all gonna die. The world's gonna end. You gotta stop him. Like I said, it's a real mishmash of just all this different stuff going on. Apparently wrapping up all these different storylines that he's had going for quite a bit. I'm going to kind of skip through this a little bit quicker than I have been, even the plot synopsis of this already, because I feel I'm just dragging through this thing. It's just me describing what's going on from page to page to page to page to page of this, because there's not the greatest plot and storyline to this. Hey, we're getting the band back together. One of the bands, they kind of the bad guys, but they still called Jawbreakers, but they doing it though. Then they going against the Rat King, the guy with the Green Lantern powers, but they're blue. And he's got all these rats that are out there, these Green Lantern, style rats that you just imagine, and they're out there and they're messing stuff up. And then they fighting with the Jawbreakers, the new Jawbreakers, and their plane goes down and one of them die, and it's a big deal, and oh no, it's terrible. And then we kind of get the band back together with the good ones, and we're getting a few of them that way. And then we have a showdown with the old man and the knife hands deal now, and he OMG cuts off his own hands in a show of power because he's I don't know, man. Then he puts them back on, and it's just, again, it's like, hey, we've got these scenes. Hey, why couldn't I kill you? Hey, Rat King, now he's saying, well, I went to your house and I tried to kill you the other night. And why couldn't I kill you? Well, then I figured out that we're interlinked, and all these universes and all these different universes, they've all got to have us because we're such important people. And if we're not there, then the universe doesn't exist, period. Therefore, we can't even kill each other. We're like Highlanders now, dude. We're not just G.I. Joes or superheroes. Now we're Highlanders to boot. And then they fight, and then it's just, again, it's really like the kid in the meme with the toys, and he's yelling, and he's smashing them together, and he's having fun, man. You look at Zack's comic books, and at first it was very much like, wow, you did it, buddy. Good job. Yeah, you can do it. And you know what? This is great. Yeah, you're going to go on and you're going to make your own publishing thing and you're going to show Marvel and you're going to show DC and you're really going to do it. But frankly, with the way he's put these books out, with just such the time gap in between them coming out, and then they all come out at once, there's no chance for him to get any feedback and even attempt to become better as a writer. I don't think he ever wanted to be a good writer in the first place. I think what he wanted to do is be that little kid just smashing Transformers and G.I. Joes together and just having a good time. And I think he didn't realize there's kind of more to actually providing an entertainment product to the market you were going for. Because, hey man, it's not little kids. It's not little kids that are going to be buying $30 comic books off the internet. Little kids aren't your target audience there anymore, buddy. It's adults. It's dudes. It's probably not even high school kids. It's probably like real adults. But I digress. Anyway, it's kind of one of those things. Hey, we got a team of Jawbreakers now. We got a different one with a mishmash of these characters. The bad guy who's now a good guy, but he can't be killed. The guy with the top hat who may or may not be a character from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Golden Age Daredevil. Danger Room Lady. And then the last page, and I haven't even gotten to the end of this Jawbreakers Forever story. So anyway, the last page of this is, hey, we've got the team together. We're, wrapping things up with a bunch of dialogue. And then we got this whole little thing of, hey, here's this dude. He comes along. He hands Silkworm this evidence bag. It's got a card in it. What is it? It's a calling card. It is a fucking Joker. It is a card from a deck. It is a Joker. And he's got a taste for the theatrical, like you all. We'll look into it. I'm sorry, did you just, isn't that the fucking ending to fucking the first Christopher Nolan Batman movie? Did you just really fucking steal that shit? Like, for real? And that's a great place to kind of stop with the description of this. I'm not even going to get into the second book of this yet, the second comic of this yet, The Salt and Sugar, because it's pretty terrible. It ain't great. It's nothing to write home about. None of this shit's nothing to write home about. But we'll just kind of truncate it right there to kind of talk about the Jawbreakers aspect of this a little bit more. Okay, first thing, we're going to go back to the beginning of this, since I tried to really give you a little bit of a synopsis of this jointed, cobbled together story that's going into this book. Let's flip back to the cover now. Let's talk about some other things besides just the terrible fucking plot. The art in this is pretty good, actually. That's probably the best thing it's got going for it. That's the best thing any comic's got going for it. Hey, is this cool to look at? This artist here, Aaron Alfeche, yeah, he's a pretty good artist. He's the selling point of this book for sure. First thing I want to talk about even is, okay, on the front cover, it just says Jawbreakers. It's just always the same logo he's got. The Jawbreakers logo. And we've got different cover art. Now on the spine it says Jawbreakers Forever, and inside on the first page it says Jawbreakers Forever. But the cover doesn't fucking say Jawbreakers Forever. And in fact, when you realize that and look at all his Jawbreakers books, none of them say anything on the cover besides Jawbreakers. None of them really differentiate themselves in any meaningful way besides, hey, the obviously different cover art. That bothers the shit out of me. There's a lot of things that I think Zack does where he's criticizing the industry. He's criticizing all these things, saying, hey, I could do this better. And then he willfully fucking doesn't. It's like he is purposely doing a half-assed, shitty job, like this petulant kid. Like this kid that's always just like, I'm not going to be told what to do. I'll show you. I'm going to do it my way anyway, just to spite you, just to show you I'm right and you're wrong. But the problem with that is you put out a shitty product. You put out a product that becomes a pain in the ass to differentiate from one to the other. And every other goddamn comic book publisher in the world has already figured this out. You even figured this out by calling them something different in the fucking title. However, you didn't put that on your fucking cover. What in the fuck are you doing? And I'm sure he's got some, well, there's this smarmy reason why it's actually smart to do that. And, well, you're just stupid if you don't think what I think. And whatever. We're moving on. The next little thing I want to point out and be smarmy about again is I think it's called Indica? I don't know. I can't remember what the fuck it's called. But, you know, the little legalese at the bottom of the front page of a comic where it says, hey, who's the publisher? Who owns this? What is owned here? Basically, this is this real catch-all thing, and he's probably doing it in a way to be lazy and non-committal again about the perhaps in dispute public domain characters he used in this book. But I can tell you, the Golden Age Daredevil is not listed here. Also, whoever in the damn hat is not listed here, so that's why I don't have a clue as to who that is yet without doing further research, which I'm not doing right now since I'm recording this. But anyway, just a few of the real quibbles that I have with Zack, and Zack's kind of laziness as a publisher. Zack's real half-assery and most of the things that he does. You took, what, 2-3 years, however many literal years to put out this comic book. And, you know, I didn't even this time, like, you know, obviously I read it one time, and now I'm kind of flipping through it as I'm describing it to you guys and going through it again. But basically, this book, the Jawbreakers Forever, is actually a really great, you know, you do $1 book. This was $1 book, by the way, too. This is why I even bought this, is because, hey, kind of doing a promotion with another book here. Hey, if you get this, you can get this one for $1. I'm like, for $1? Why not? Sure. And, you know, for $1 for a graphic novel, not the worst thing in the world. But instead of being the kind of traditional, hey, we're doing $1 book, we're trying to get people into this is actually a great jumping off point. And if you can't tell with me personally and this channel, and maybe you are a Comicsgate fan, and maybe my guess is you can tell with yourself, but a lot of the kind of youthful enthusiasm and the fuck you, I won't do what you told me attitude of Comicsgate, and really what started this, has really waned and just went away when this all became more about making YouTube videos and getting in the algorithm instead of making comic books. You know, I kind of thought before of like, this is kind of like if Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld and all the Image founders broke off from Marvel, and then they went and formed their own company and they made one fucking comic book, and that was it. And they just expected the publishing world to be fucking handed to them. It was really this hype beast idea at first, but then there was just no follow through, and now it's been literally years later. Maybe you were really cooking and you did like 2 issues of a comic book, and let's be generous and say it's been 5 years, which I know it hasn't. Just, to me, a lot of the real momentum of all of this has really kind of died, and Jawbreakers Forever is a great jumping off point. I need to just do it for the heck of it, because some of these review videos actually do get some views that are kind of decent for me. You know, they're not getting thousands of views, but maybe they're getting a couple hundred over time, which is a pretty decent metric for me, sad to say. So one of these days I need to actually do a review of Impossible Stars. I need to do a review of Impossible Stars 2 whenever I get that from Zack. That's actually my final book that I'm waiting on from him. I want to say for the Comicsgate things, otherwise I've still got Rainbow the Brute waiting. Don't hold your breath, I suppose. And I've also got Black Flag from Dan Fraga still waiting, and that one I'm really not holding my breath on. I mean, I kind of said long ago, it's like, it's just $25, who cares? But I might as well just ask for my money back before, I don't know, the guy fucking keels over and I can't get it back, you know? There's this other comic in here too, Sugar and Spice. I'm sorry, Salt and Sugar. And now, I can't forget at the end of this is very much a satirical piece from Zack. Others, he kind of wrote it. So this one is called Salt and Sugar, and it's credited story by Richard C. Meyer, script by Chuck Dixon and Narwhal, art and lettering by Narwhal. Instead of expanding maybe the Jawbreakers story and art and making that a little better and more complete, hey, here's something else I had that we're kind of just jamming in here to fill the pages. And it's this very satirical sort of thing. Hey, Salt and Sugar. Now, you want to say salt and pepper, you know, Sugar and Spice. That should be the quote-unquote right duo name there, right? And that's kind of what this whole thing is about. Hey, it's a bank robbery. We're in here. Call us what we want to be called, is the whole running joke through this. They're Yas Queens, and they're gonna get their way no matter what. You ain't gonna stop them, Whitey. And then basically this Superman stand-in flies in and manhandles him in the slightest way and takes him off to jail. Anyway, I think for the most part, I've kind of said about everything that I need to about this book. You know what, Zach? We really liked, I feel I'm speaking for the community, the Comicsgate fan community, and I know I'm not, but I feel as though what your fan base really liked about you and really sold us on crowdfunding these books was you're a fan and you've been blacklisted, but you're, hey man, you're not going to be told what to do, and you've got the gumption and you're going to do it anyway. But I don't really think this sort of publishing model worked for you. I think if you wanted to be a writer, if you wanted to be a good writer, I think there's kind of a lot of work you had to do, and we were hoping it was somehow magically going to get done with you being the editor and you getting paid directly and you cutting the checks, but it didn't. How did that happen? You weren't accountable to anybody besides yourself. You weren't accountable to us to get these books out on time. Once the money was in your pocket, hey, there it was, and we'll kind of, I'll get around to it when I get around to it. And I'm doing all this editing on it, guys. Oh, I'm doing the lettering myself, and I'm, making sure that it all looks great on the page and everything laid out right. Okay, sure you were. But I digress. Jawbreakers Forever. Let's give it a 6 out of 10 for effort. In that, yeah, I get it. You're trying to be like this big cosmic crossover thing, and you're throwing in all kinds of crazy scenes and different characters, but it's just kind of a big mess. And the momentum, any sort of goodwill and kind of just enthusiasm and momentum to all this, I think has really died. And I think Jawbreakers Forever, it would have been funnier if the book never got published, period, and it was actually called Jawbreakers Never. And maybe that would have been more satisfying. It wouldn't have been, but I don't know. I'm just trying to shit on you. Anyway, guys, that's my take on it. I'm glad it was $1. He tried, but once I get Impossible Stars 2 in the mail, I won't be buying any more books from Zach. I won't be buying any more books from Ethan Van Sciver. The one comics creator I did like out of Comicsgate that I found is it Carl Steffen? The dude who does Merry Boys. That's actually the coolest comic that I've found out of here. But I digress. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you this time. If this is your first time watching a Humane Garbage video, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications of new videos sent directly to your phone and inbox. Follow us on social media, and as always, remember to hit the pipe harder than you hit your wife and kid.